It is nice to be back.
Boy, it feels so damn good. Did you miss me?
Not really.
You didn't miss me at all?
Why would I?
I don't know. I feel like I'm kind of like your sidekick now. Partner in crime.
My sidekick down.
Yeah. Why not?
You still put the mic in front of your face.
Well, what's wrong with that? Trying to make sure that less people
Okay.
see my ugly mug.
3, 2, 1, action. You go over there. All right. What is up, guys? As you can tell, Greg is back on 2 Beers Deep. Greg is gone.
Back.
Hello, Marshall. Thank you for joining. So, Greg is back. Greg, why don't you spend the first couple minutes, honestly, just telling everybody where you went, how was it? Because I know you have been.
I've been all over.
Really, well, you were really excited about it coming into it. So, just talk about kind of where you were, what it was, a little bit more about who you met and everything around that.
Okay, so myself and disgruntled ex-employee Josh Elsast decided to go to Chicago this past weekend for Labor Day weekend. We were gone from Thursday to Monday, long-ass weekend, by the way.
Yes.
We went there for a wrestling show. The show was called All In. It was the biggest independent wrestling show.
Nate Dennis, how's it going, guys?
It was the biggest independent wrestling show ever seen in about 20-something years. Sold over 11,000
Josh,
tickets.
how you doing?
Sold over 11,000 tickets at the Sears Center in Chicago. It was amazing. It was one of the loudest crowds I've ever been to. It was one of the rowdiest crowds I've ever been to. And I had a complete blast.
Yeah, so if you don't know anything about Greg, obviously, most of the people that have joined have been friends of mine on Facebook since Greg doesn't have a Facebook. Greg is a huge wrestling, would you rather geek, nerd, savant? Like, what's the spectrum you would rather be tossed into?
I'm cool with wrestling nerd, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm just cool.
Wrestling nerd.
I just accept it.
Yeah, Greg has been a huge wrestling guy for a while. And this weekend was something that him and disgruntled ex-employee Josh Elsast, shout out to Josh, they got to go to Indianapolis. Was it Indianapolis?
Chicago.
Sorry. And they basically saw a bunch of indie wrestler stuff. Who did you meet that I would know of?
That you would know of? The one and only Mr. CM Punk.
Okay. Yeah. No, actually,
Yeah.
That. How was he cool?
He was awesome. I was honestly kind of nervous because I thought he was going to be a dick. I don't know why. I just kind of
we're on Facebook now, Greg.
No, I'm sorry. It's just like
Well, no, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
My mom watches these. Like,
sorry, Mrs. Whitten.
Your mom might not have a Facebook.
So no, it's just one of those things that you have this perception of him that I guess I don't know. It's not his character, but it's just when you see him in real life, like you kind of look at him and you're like, I don't know, this guy kind of just strikes me as like someone who probably doesn't like being bothered.
Yeah, that's fair. He was just a bad dude.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was just a bad dude.
No, absolutely. So. But no, he couldn't have been nicer. It was Friday morning. We got there at 9 a.m. He signed Josh's comic book.
Oh yeah, did he think it was cool?
Because he thought it was awesome.
For anybody that doesn't know, they saw CM Punk, they met him, and CM Punk wrote Drax the Destroyers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is a writer. Hello, mother. This is why Greg's not allowed to swear. He is a writer for Drax the Destroyer from Guardians of the Galaxy's comic book series. Josh has one of those original comic books, took it, got it signed.
Yeah.
So
wrote like a personal note to him and everything. It was amazing.
What do you say?
I can't say it.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say it.
You can't say it because it's offensive, or you can't say it because it means more to Josh?
No, I can't say it because it's offensive technically.
Okay.
Yeah. So there was that, and then we had an 11 a.m. scheduled to get a picture with him, and he was awesome.
I saw you guys did the thing, the cross thingy.
Yeah, I believe Josh's wife told me I looked like I was scared to death, and I don't know if that's just because I was.
You looked like you were happy.
I did. I was happy. I was happy as could be. So
Ryan Martier says, "Hate you, Greg." I personally was going to fly Brett back out here. It wasn't in our budget to get Brett Wasden back out, so we just had to settle with Greg.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah, apparently traveling to Chicago and back is very expensive.
Yeah.
I learned that.
We should have sent you there and kept Brett, and you could have taken his job in Chicago, and Brett and Lisa could have stayed here, and Brett could have. I was honestly, realistically, on a real talk, I was very concerned with Brett actually showing up 2 straight nights. And if you know Brett, I will add him in this comment section. I love you too, Marty. I was very concerned about Brett actually showing up, and he had a good time, and we got up to 800 views on his first video.
He sounded like he was having a good time. I heard the audio; it was great.
He did. Actually. It was fun. All right, so what was your highlight of your weekend in Chicago, meeting a bunch of indie wrestlers and being all sweaty with Josh.
Oh God.
Like if you obviously there's a ton of things and scratch out the CM Punk thing.
Yeah.
Scratch out meeting. Like what was the point? Give me a wrestling point and then just a Chicago point.
Wrestling point. It literally was just going to one of the biggest shows ever produced, but that had nothing to do with the big company. It was literally
that's the thing too. It's a big indie wrestling.
Yeah,
thing.
it was a collection.
So it's not WWE. It's not NXT. It's not any. It's indie.
Yeah,
Which,
it was,
the big guy was Cody Rhodes.
It was,
right?
yeah. It was literally just a collection of guys coming together to put on just one amazing show, and it's something that has never been done before, and it's just something that it was just great to be a part of.
In case you were unaware, we do have one new heckler in the fan group. It is EJ. This is Brett's cousin, who was supposed to be a part of the shows and came in with 5 minutes left the past 2. So his Josh Dobbs exclamation mark is in reference to my obsession. I don't know how much you've been paying attention to the things happening the past 2 weeks with you being out, Greg.
It's been rough, but I've tried.
We basically started the hashtag Dobbs to Hodges right now, and
my God.
And if anyone's drinking with us, please let us know. We'll do cheers with you. But Dobbs to Hodges.
Isn't Hodges on the practice squad? Yeah, I was going to say.
Throw them.
That's very true.
Which Greg actually was in Chicago, hammered, and texted me still about the Landry Jones Josh Dobbs. Which I saw them in Southside and met Mason Rudolph. Not like a big deal. Jay-Z was there. It's okay. It's not like a huge deal. Told him to calm down. They came up to me. It was super weird.
Oh, okay.
I was like, don't be douchey.
Yeah, he must be a fan. Yeah.
But no, so you were saying your favorite thing about this event? And
just being at the show was amazing because the tickets sold out in about a half hour. So Josh got them. They went on sale on Mother's Day. He got them within a half hour, and it was amazing. Like the tickets that we bought were on like the secondary market for 5 times the face value.
EJ said 2 beers deep is the truth. 2 beers deep, greater than Thursday Night Football.
Whoa, be careful. We just got Thursday Night Football back, so.
What do you mean? Be careful. You're on the show.
Yeah, but we just got Thursday Night Football back. I'm happy.
No, go sit on the couch.
No.
Greg.
No, I just got back.
Greg.
No.
Go sit on the couch.
No.
You're in timeout.
No.
I'm not kidding. All right. So Greg's in timeout for that statement. Obviously, if you're on the 2 Beers Deep show, you have to obviously think it's the greatest thing ever, right? Right. Thank you, EJ. You may come back now.
You better
plug your mic back in. So anyways, what we're going to get into first, we're going to touch a little bit about football and then come back to the end. We don't want to spend the entire episode on football. We obviously have a couple things. Thursday Night Football comes and goes. 2 Beers Deep is forever. EJ, thanks for showing up on time this week, dog. I really appreciate that. So would you rather, Greg, talk about some of the other trades, situations, or the preview first?
I honestly think we need to talk about the...
Seckley says I misread already.
Not surprised. I honestly think we need to talk about the transactions just because they were such a big deal that happened this weekend.
Let's go over the main 2. 2 defensive players, 2 major contracts. Which one surprised you the most? And I think there's an obvious answer.
It's Khalil Mack.
Yeah, it's Khalil Mack.
Come on.
For anybody that doesn't know, so Aaron Donald, Pitt alum,
H2P,
was about to hold out of his contract, got to a certain point that the Rams finally paid him. Amazing money.
Yeah.
The best defensive player of all time money.
Yeah, it's a guaranteed money that was amazing. It was like 90 something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Contracts right now, if you look at the way contracts are happening, River Hounds playoff prediction. I am going to the Hounds game tomorrow with Denny. That's why he's bringing
Are you?
Denny.
Nice.
There we go, Hounds. Can't wait.
They're very close to qualifying for, I believe, 3 seats, so that's nice.
Yeah. So thank you, Denny. We'll talk about that football in a little bit. But no, so obviously Aaron Donald was going to hold out. They gave him a massive contract. If you look at that team, that is obviously the Jacksonville Jaguars are amazing. The Philadelphia 76ers defense is amazing. The Vikings defense is amazing. I personally think that the Rams defense has a chance to easily be the best defense in the league, strictly because of their additions of Keith Talib, Marcus Peters. They still have Aaron Donald. They added Ndamukong Suh.
Yeah, Ndamukong
Suh. And they actually had a really aggressive package for Khalil Mack. Where'd Khalil Mack end up?
Chicago Bears.
Chicago Bears then traded 2 first-round picks. You know the last player to get 2 first-round picks traded for him?
I have no idea.
Jay Cutler.
And it was the Chicago Bears.
Jay Cutler was the last player to have 2 first-round picks be his value.
And Kyle Orton.
Well, that was one before that. Khalil Mack is a once-in-a-generation player. He is not the type of player you find in the draft. He's the type of player that he just springs up. He really is a once-in-a-lifetime player. For the Bears to get Khalil Mack is worth, in my mind, 3 first-round picks.
No,
because that dude with that defense, with Roquan Smith in there also, that's an elite defense right now.
Mhm.
Now, could you imagine him on the Rams?
it
would be the Golden State Warriors of another sport, in my opinion.
I'm actually curious to know what the package the Rams offered was.
Apparently, it was really aggressive. They didn't come out and tell us what it was, but apparently the package that the Rams, which how do they still have money after the Gurley deal and the Darnold deal and signing Peters and signing Talib? Beyond me.
You know what it is? It's probably because of the fact that they're not paying Jared Goff.
Well,
Like
yeah,
that
but
same
you
amount.
can't. Okay, so all right, I get that, and we make that argument all the time. That the way to win a Super Bowl is to draft a really good quarterback, Carson Wentz, and just build a team around him. And the Rams are there, and the Bears are about to be there, and there's a couple teams that are about to take that step. The Texans should be there.
Oh, absolutely.
But how do you have this much money? Like that you're going to offer Khalil I think they were going to offer Khalil Mack that same contract.
Yeah.
That's insane.
It's scary. They must have a lot of expiring contracts or something. They have to. There's no way. There's no way I can even quantify.
That's true. EJ brings up a good point. Sorry to cut you off. It was the same, but they believe the Rams wouldn't be as high as a pick as the Bears would be.
That's accurate.
Chicago sucks and will pick higher, hence why Raiders took the trade. Agreed. I get that. And that's totally fine, and that makes total sense. I am not combating the fact that the Rams did not get the trade because where the pick will be. I'm combating the fact that why do the Rams seem to have more money than every other team on this deal? Like, I could be terribly wrong. And their offensive line might not be elite, but Brandon Cooks got paid, Todd Gurley got paid. Mm-hmm. Everyone on that team is apparently getting paid.
They also have Andrew Whitworth, who I'm pretty sure is a big deal on that O-line.
Yeah,
so he has to. Yeah, it's weird to think about that. Like, I actually want to look in their cap situation.
Man, can somebody and in case so I don't think he knows Seckley. David Seckley is now our research department if he's here. Since Brett messed up a lot of stats. Like, can you stop swearing? It's on Facebook. Sorry, kids. Now we got to put an E next to my personal profile. She keeps swearing. So let's get into the fact that where does this Rams have a 2-year window before they have the salary cap? Hell, they better get a ring soon. That is a second truth. Yeah, that's the same thing. I think the Eagles are about to hit that. It's the same process that the Seattle Seahawks hit. Mm-hmm. They have the Legion of Boom. They got Russell on a rookie contract. That's just football, people. Mm-hmm. How does this impact the Bears as a whole? Where do you think they finish now with Khalil Mack? Because you obviously one player does not define a team. No, but that was a team on the rise with Nagy, with all the pieces. Right. Trey Burton coming in there, with Jordan Howard being who he is, with Allen Robinson coming in.
Roquan Smith.
Roquan Smith was elite linebacker. Mm-hmm. Where does that team take the next step? Like, where are they now compared to where they were before the Mac deal?
I think they're now. It's funny that you bring that up because I remember during our preview and stuff, I didn't even think of the Bears being a wild card or playoff team. Honestly,
people like seeing
looking at that division, it's the Minnesota Vikings. It has to be just hands down when you look at it. There's no other complete team in that division. I mean, yes, you can say it as much as you want about the Detroit Lions having Matt Stafford and Matt Patricia now as head coach with a young defense and stuff. I mean, you have Aaron Rodgers with the Green Bay Packers.
I like Detroit a lot.
You do like Detroit a lot. He does. Yeah, I love Detroit. He does. But no, so the Chicago Bears are still in that same category to me when it comes to now they're in just that mess of a wild card when trying to figure out who's going to be getting into it. You still have Mitch Trubisky as a second-year quarterback. We saw what he could do last year. He now has an offense that's kind of built and tailored around.
I like him way more now than I did last year. I like him a lot more today than I did when they drafted him and then during the season. I think that he proved last year that he has potential to control an offense. And that's all you want.
Does it add to it just the fact that they decided to invest some money into that offense and give him some playmakers?
Oh, absolutely.
Last year?
Absolutely. Yeah. That you can't deny that this Bears offense is much better, seeing as Bellamy was their number one receiver last year. Now you can say that Cam Meredith is good, and yeah, Cam Meredith has a very good percentage of yards, catches, touchdowns, pretty much everything when he's on the field.
Cam Meredith could be the number 2 receiver in the Saints this year. I really think that.
Does he have competition for 2? Out of curiosity, I know there's Ted Ginn Jr. still there, and he's not a 2. He's not a 2.
Maybe Alvin Kamara could be like the number 2 reception guy, but yeah.
You said receiver.
All right, fair. He is number 2.
I agree with you that he could be the number 2 reception guy. Mm-hmm. But so Meredith, you're looking at him. He's obviously a good talent.
Yes.
But that team has Kevin White. They drafted Kevin White, I believe. It's either 7th or 12th. Seckley Research Department, 7th or 12th.
believe it was 7th.
Thank you. Yeah, I knew it was one of those two. Drafted out of West Virginia, he has not played a significant down of football. Like, he was good in the one game he played.
I think this is his 4th year, too.
Yeah, no, he's a bum. Wow. Sorry, West Virginia. But what it comes down to is Trubisky finally has pieces that will make him, in my opinion, a serviceable player that I am actually thinking about starting in fantasy this week.
Wow.
Against a weak Green Bay secondary. We will have a fantasy segment towards the end, guys, so you can ask me your questions. EJ, since you're butt at fantasy, I expect you to be a participant in that. So we got the 2 deals out of the way. What else happened, Greg? Is there anything else that people are up in arms about that might have been a Pittsburgh Steelers thing about a deal on a contract?
We literally had an entire production meeting with an argument talking about this
And
situation.
we're going to go into this. We're going to go into this for probably 10 minutes.
I don't want to say argument. It was a healthy discussion.
Yeah. And Greg, we don't even have a miss. Like, we're pretty aligned in how we thought and almost thinking almost everything, except when you're wrong, then you're an idiot. EJ, fantasy question. You can ask, but I might not get to it because we're going to get to Le'Veon Bell, and you can be heated about
We're
that.
literally going to go down a rabbit hole when it comes to this, probably.
Le'Veon Bell did not report to camp on Monday, like was rumored. Did not report to camp on Wednesday, like was rumored. Is now going to sit out week 1 against the Browns. His agent has leaked basically that Le'Veon Bell does not expect to be at the Steelers facilities until after week 10, making James Conner, second-year running back out of Pitt, cancer survivor, absolute phenom human being out the gate,
absolutely
the running back for the Steelers. Let's avoid the actual who's wrong, who's right. Let's cut straight to the offensive line.
Okay.
Were they in the wrong for what they said about him?
It's hard for me to say because this has never happened before. Like we even talked about this, that Louis Riddick and a couple other analysts even said that this is the first time we've ever heard the Steelers players actually come out and just not be happy about this. So it's odd that they're just so angry. I think it's just the fact that they're so fed up with dealing with them.
Yeah.
They dealt with this last year's training camp, but he reported week 1, so they were fine. They dealt with it during minicamp. They dealt with it during training camp. And now the fact that they're dealing with it for week 1, and it's come to the fact that he's missing a game. I think in training camp, it was understandable because they dealt with it previously, but the fact that he's missing a regular season game now, that in the long run adds to their ability to get to the playoffs, this is something that's going to piss them off. Like, it's just getting to that point now. It's weird for me to see that, but I feel like they were in the right just because of the fact that now he is missing a playoff game. I mean, not playoff game, missing a regular season game.
EJ, I wrote your question down. I will get to that because that's a really good topic, actually. And I have a clear-cut, correct answer for you. Greg has such a beautiful radio voice.
Thanks, Jardo.
So let's talk about – first, let's get to the fact that the O-line had statements about Bell, and then we'll get to how it actually is impacting.
Right.
Personally, my state of mind, keep it professional as possible. Okay, Justin, I'm writing your question down real quick. Jack's D. Actually, we'll just answer that one because that's a defense. Jacksonville's D versus New York Giants or Detroit versus the Jets? That's actually, okay, so everyone might say, oh, that's an easy one. That's a fair question.
It is.
Because the Giants have a high-flying offense this year, and the Jets are obviously weaker, so Detroit has a place. Justin, what I'm going to say is I don't see a week where I'm not playing that Jacksonville defense. That makes sense.
The only issue I could potentially see is the fact that you have Detroit going against a rookie quarterback in his first start. So, I mean, that
with
might
Matt Patricia as a coach, I get that. Yeah. But I'm feeling comfortable because you obviously drafted Jacksonville higher than D. Like, there were other players, so you took Jacksonville high. I'm playing them every week.
I was on a draft where Jacksonville went, I think, in like the 8th round.
That's because people are dumb.
Yeah.
So, okay, so let's get into this. I personally, and this is just my opinion, guys, please at me, yell at me, Twitter, Deke White, and Instagram, Deke White, and everything. Mm-hmm. The offensive line should not have said those things. Hear me out. Behind closed doors, that offensive line can do anything they want.
I'm pretty sure they probably have to.
And I'm sure they rip them a new one, and I think they're in the right for what their opinion is. The problem I have with the statements is that Ramon Foster says he gets paid more than we do, more than Big Al, and we do it for him. Now, the problem, and I said this to Greg in the production meeting, the biggest issue I have with that statement is the impact it has on Connor instantly. It is basically saying Ramon Foster is the team's player union rep. For him to speak publicly about Bell's situation is total contradiction. The player rep actually sided with the ownership and public should be with. Secondly, that's a good point in itself. My whole argument with it, though, is the fact that Ramon Foster said all those things. It is a very dangerous statement for an offensive line, despite being a top 5 offensive line in the NFL.
Easily.
If Zeke would have held out the year after he had the year he had with the Dallas Cowboys, or DeMarco Murray would have held out the year after the Cowboys, that line was elite. They would have still been in the wrong by saying what they said. Because guess what? You can block all the holes out of the God-given earth. Peyton Hillis ain't making those gaps. You know what I'm saying? Like, Trent Richardson is not making those gaps.
It was even proven when Darren McFadden was the lead back after,
It's one of those things where everybody has a position. Ramon Foster is right in the sense that he thinks that the Steelers have an elite line that helps Le'Veon Bell be as good as he is. But at the end of the day, you cannot argue with me that Le'Veon Bell is not one of the most impactful NFL players we have ever seen on all aspects of offense, blocking, catching, everything. Like, it comes down to the fact that that's a dangerous statement because it puts Connor in a place, in my opinion, that is basically, hey, have these same numbers because we're the same offensive line. You can't really say, well, he's not the same. That's what Foster said. Foster said, we did the things to make him that good. I don't know. It puts pressure on Connor, and that's first and foremost before the fact that I think the offensive line needs to stay buttoned up in front of the press, especially, as Seckley brought up, he is the team's union rep. You can't be putting that kind of numbers on a guy like Connor, who we can all agree was hurt last year. He looks great in preseason, and we love James Conner as a person, as a battler of kids, as a football player. We love James Conner as a football player. He's not Le'Veon Bell. You know what I mean? And that's before we even get into the fact that Le'Veon's right or wrong, the contract, the Steelers, any of that stuff. You need to stay professional. Calling him out in the news is not going to make him come back next week and be all buddy-buddy. You're basically cementing yourself to, even if he's out for week 10, even if he's staying out for 10 weeks, you are cementing yourself in the fact that he is not welcome back and he's gone. EJ says, the writing on the wall for Bell. Let him go. Why don't we need to replace him? You can't. We need James Conner to be James Conner. Okay, agree with that, EJ. But at the end of the day, they're not going to rescind the franchise tag because then he becomes a free agent. He signs with the Patriots and they win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean? Like, they're going to keep him on this franchise tag. And it comes down to a lot of issues, and that's why Greg and I have a time constraint on this argument. It comes down to the fact that Le'Veon Bell obviously could have been the highest paid running back in football. He treats himself as the highest paid running back plus a wide receiver too.
It's the plus where we get into this.
It's the plus that is the argument. Me personally, we got into this argument last night with a guy in my fantasy league. A trade. So, okay, the only trade I could see imaginable that would have actually benefited us was for Khalil Mack. But we wouldn't have paid Khalil Mack either.
No.
You're looking for, there's not a single trade the Steelers would get that is fair to what Le'Veon Bell can produce. There just isn't.
No,
there's not a single thing.
They have no leverage now, essentially. So.
No, and Le'Veon Bell is arguably the best player in the league. Oh, like, he just is. He is. You can make an argument. Now, you can say, well, Chris Boswell's arguably. No. Le'Veon Bell's an elite category player. When you look at this deal, and you look at the fact that we are mad at him for not taking RB1 numbers, Todd Gurley took his RB1 numbers, and that's fine. Le'Veon Bell has done more with less than we projected him to. Yes, injuries, suspensions, pot, all that stuff. I get it. What it comes down to is, though, if you walk into work Monday morning and you say, hey, I want a $30,000 raise or I'm leaving, the job can tell you no. You know what I mean? Like, I get that we're talking about millions of dollars here. We're talking about a short gap of millions between what Lev had and the team had, and he should just build up all this stuff. All I'm saying is it's dangerous for the line to think they made a player. That's it. That's my biggest argument with it all for Foster's statements. It's dangerous for an offensive line to think that they and yes, don't get me wrong. If Bell was on the Dolphins, I guess they actually had a decent line with the Giants.
Yeah.
If Bell was on, what's the worst line in football? The Cardinals last year?
Yeah.
The Cardinals. If Bell was on the Cardinals last year, yes, he would not have done as well. No. That's facts.
We also wouldn't have cared anyway.
Wouldn't have cared.
Honestly.
That's another thing. I'll ask you this, EJ. If Le'Veon Bell was, say, a 49er and was doing the same stuff, would we even care? Or would we say, go get your money, it doesn't matter to us? Yeah. I think that's fair because we're Steelers fans. We want to win a ring. We want our players to win a ring for us.
Right.
That's why we love Antonio Brown, because Antonio Brown won't be the greatest Steelers wide receiver until he wins a ring, and those are his own words.
Right.
Le'Veon Bell prioritizes money over rings. That is something that, as a sports fan, is hard to comprehend. It's that whole glory versus just getting in and getting out. Greg and I had the argument, like, what was it? Would you rather be Joe Thomas or, you know what I'm talking about? Would you rather be glory and just long careers?
Would you rather be Joe Thomas or would you rather be Matthew Slater?
Yes, thank you. Yeah. That was yes. Okay. Greg, please, what are your takes on this Lev thing? And then let's get off the topic because we've spent too much time already.
Yeah, we did. I feel like first off, if the line was going to be productive, I feel like they should have done a better job by essentially not even talking about Bell and just talking about how confident they are in James Conner. That and that alone. I guess I understand their frustration. I think they let their emotions get the head of them just because they were dealing with this for so long. And when you have the Pittsburgh media down your throat, it can become a nightmare after a while because I feel like you just hear them talk about it so much and so often that it just starts to weigh down on them. So I think they could have handled it better. I think the better way to do this would have just been to say, we trust James Conner. We think we can win with James Conner. So we're going to talk about James Conner and James Conner. That's it. When they start talking about Le'Veon Bell, that's where we get into the situation.
Cheers to Matt Christopher. Shots of Kahlua. No beer. We appreciate you, buddy.
Cheers to that, my friend.
So EJ brings up the point. So there's more to it than getting paid. Basically, I'm going to summarize it, EJ. That it's a character thing, and it comes down to loyalty, and AB knew he was going to get the money, so he showed up. You can't compare AB's situation to Lev's in the sense that AB did not have season-ending injuries and suspensions. Now, you can say, well, those go against Bell, and that's perfectly fine. But when you look at AB's going to get paid because he is a wide receiver. Wide receivers have longevity in the NFL.
Right, especially how the NFL is now moving towards the whole pass-heavy league. And although, weirdly enough, we are kind of now going back to the elite running back situation, but that's an entire
Brandon Cooks got money from the Rams.
Yeah, that's...
Well, all right, let's get off the Bell thing.
Please.
I'm more than happy to talk to anybody about the Bell thing individually. I'll even, for $20, EJ, I'll put you on my Instagram and we can argue this out because I know you're a Mohawk-looking mother trucker. Let's get into some other stuff about sports here. The one thing I do want to talk about, Serena Williams is about to win the Open. Greg and I aren't tennis guys.
No.
But Greg, I will say it with the Fluffies. At their own sport, she is the greatest of all time. At any person at their own sport, she is the GOAT of that sport.
I can't even argue that, really.
Other arguments that might be that Michael Phelps in swimming is a decent argument. Just Olympic-wise, you know what I mean?
Maybe Shaun White when it comes to snowboarding and skating. Yeah.
I do love Shaun White. She's better than them in the sense of, just as dominant. She is the most dominant athlete I think we've ever seen. Now, I should look this up. There were two brothers that are American that played doubles tennis that had, 30 tournaments of undefeated, something ridiculous number. Maybe it was just 30 matches undefeated.
Right.
And they were the greatest of all time that no one knew about because no one cared about Dennis Tubble. Dennis Tubble. That is Greg's drunk name from now on, Dennis Tubble.
We're going with that?
Tennis doubles, sorry. But no, individually, when you look at someone at their craft, at their sport, is it easier to consider you the GOAT? Is it easier a consideration to be the GOAT if it's an individual sport?
Yes.
Okay.
I would say that.
Now, is it easier to compare GOAT to GOAT in a individual sport? You know what I mean? I know that's a weird way to word it. So basically, you can obviously say
so, if you were comparing the GOAT in basketball to the GOAT in football, just because of the fact that it's a team-related sport?
No. Okay, so let me rephrase.
Yeah.
So the GOAT in women's tennis is Serena Williams.
Okay.
The GOAT in male tennis, I would say, is Roger Federer. You could say it's Nadal. You could say it's Joker. You could say it's
Nadal.
A number of guys.
Yeah, you could say Agassi. Or also, when it comes to women's tennis, you could also argue Billie Jean King over Serena Williams.
Yeah. And then please, if there's another name of a female, don't forget Derek White in kickball. Thank you, David Seckley. For anybody that doesn't know, I ran in about 10 runs in a 20-win kickball game. Could have hit 2 grand slams, but Jordan Thompson kind of lollygagged. So I'm not mad at her. I'm not mad. Could have hit 2 grand slams. It's no big deal.
Pat yourself on the back.
I did get stuffed twice in basketball on the same day, so I can't be too happy with myself. Sean Mary and David Seckley. But what I'm saying is it easier for us to compare Jack and Arnold and Tiger than it is to compare Jordan, Kareem, and LeBron?
I believe so, just because of the fact that you can look at majors, you can look at their individual play, and you can look at longevity. But if you think about the actual players in basketball, though, they have a team around them that kind of helps add to it. So, yeah, I agree with you. I think it's kind of more of the essence that it's easier to compare the individual sport than the team sport.
And it's one of those things where it's all right, obviously Jack he has the numbers. Jack has the wins.
Right.
My favorite golfer of all time is Arnold Palmer. I just do. You know what I mean? He's just my guy. A lot of people will say Tiger. Very good pick. A lot of people say lefty, which did we talk about that yet?
I believe you
Brett
and
and I
Brett.
did.
You and
Yeah.
Brett did. We mentioned it in passing.
We
a
did,
little
but
bit,
not
yeah.
the full numbers and everything. All right,
Yeah.
so we'll talk about
Touch
that
on
later.
that. Yeah.
But I think it's easier to, one, look at numbers. Derek Iron Leg. Thank you, Jay.
No, that's your drunk man.
Oh, well,
Iron
all
leg.
right.
Iron leg.
No, yeah, whatever.
Oh no, what's wrong with that?
I got a third Iron Leg. So the funny thing about individual sports, in my opinion, is that it's easier to look at straight stats. Whereas if you look at team sports, it's harder to look at straight stats. Because if you ask me, like, I mean, one of my goats is Kobe. Everyone knows I love Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Kobe is, I don't think.
Oh yeah, it's on
Where's
top of the Fraser
Hold
board.
it up in my backhand.
Yeah.
I'm a massive Lakers fan. I always have been.
Usually Lakers
he has
fans when
been-
they were bad, so that tells you all you need to know. Well,
Nobody can hurt me as much as Swaggy P. D'Angelo Russell can. But no, what I'm getting down to is that I think it's easier to compare stat lines between individual sports than it is anything else. But at the same time, I think it's funner to compare GOATs in team sports because you're like, well, Jordan had Scottie Pippen and Jordan had Dennis Rodman. Oh, well, look, LeBron had Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. All right, well, Kobe had Shaq. All right, well, Magic Johnson had Kareem and blah, blah, blah. So it comes down to the fact that I don't think anyone in any individual sport can touch what Serena Williams has done at tennis. Maybe, and we said Michael Phelps and Sean Williams are obviously comparable in the sense of like gold medals and how much. Okay, here's the question: how much do medals matter to you over national championships in a sport like snowboarding, where national championships don't matter to us? It's literally X Games and the Olympics, but in tennis, there's so many championships and stuff like that. Like, what weighs more to you in what sport, and kind of how do you gauge the importance of it?
Honestly, I think it's just based on how much media coverage you get for it, because that's what we're in.
That's kind of sad.
It is.
You know what I mean? That's like,
but that's
it's
like
right, but it's sad.
That's what we're kind of led to believe, though, that like the amount of coverage that we get for it, and also I think it's the longevity of a certain event and how long it's supposed to go. Like in terms of golf, we look at the Masters as probably the biggest event, and then behind that, I'd say probably the Open.
Would you?
Yeah, I would. I think the Masters has more prestige. Yeah, I think the Masters has more prestige.
Well, no, I meant the Open second. The Masters is the Masters. The Masters is the Masters.
Because I look at it in terms of longevity, I feel like the Open has to do it.
Which your boy Brooks is really. Greg made the argument before he left that Brooks could lose every other tournament and still be the best player this year, and he's continued to be a freak.
Bryson DeChambeau's challenging
Your
him.
boy Bryson,
I love it, yeah. But no, oh my God, golf's so great.
Tiger shot under 8 today at 63. Where's Chad? I gotta text Chad to tell him to get on Facebook because that boy loves golf more than golf. Anyway, so let's squash that for a little bit. Let's talk. Did you watch any BPL this week?
I got.
How did Southampton do?
They won.
Did they?
Yes, they
Who
did.
they play against?
Crystal Palace.
Ah, that's cool.
Shout out to everything. That's great.
Dude, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I actually watched that game anytime. Man U finally got their win, thank God. It comes down to the fact that I literally got a text from my dad making fun of me about Marcus Rashford, and Man U ended up winning and Tottenham ended up losing.
I told you how when I was in line to meet CM Punk, I met a dude from Brighton who was a Tottenham fan.
Yeah.
Made fun of me because I was a Southampton fan too. He just said, I'm sorry for you.
And lost twice.
Yeah.
Nerd. Obviously, as Denny brought up, the Riverhounds are
They're third overall in the conference.
third over on the conference. Check out Thoughts on the Bench Instagram. I'll post some stuff from the game tomorrow. I get to go with Denny, which is obviously always a great time.
Yep.
I like going to the Riverhounds games. Have you been to one this year?
I've been to one, and it was in like I don't want to say April. It was a draw. It was rainy. I didn't go to anyone this.
Did you go to the DC United game?
I did. Yeah,
That was a good game.
you were doing sideline stuff.
Yeah,
I believe
a company I was on in the past was doing a promo video for the Hounds, so I got to sit sideline on that game.
That promo video turned out great, by the way.
It did. It was really cool.
It really did.
Matt Christopher says, Chelsea, the double winky face. Matt, you do know that emojis can work on Facebook chat. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm not offending you. I'm not talking smack.
Even I know that.
Yeah, that's weird. Did you see Neymar named his top 4 finishers in the BPL? And it was City, United, I believe Arsenal, Tottenham. He left Liverpool out. Do you find that interesting?
A little bit, because I feel like Liverpool's probably just hot after playing a weak schedule to start. That's like how kind of we said that the big issue with Man U was just kind of the fact that they had like a gauntlet to start.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to
or
the
even
fact that
Arsenal. Arsenal had a gauntlet to start too, and they're kind of just slow to get going.
True, but I actually really like the way Aubameyang and Lacazette have been playing for Arsenal.
Right.
I think Lacazette is a extremely talented guy that was stuck in the French league a little too long. DC has changed in volume since Rooney. That's actually all right. So a little MLS talk. Wayne Rooney has been doing more than people gave him credit for. I feel like.
Yeah, I saw how much.
Amazing,
yeah, I think DC's back in the playoff hunt actually, which is very surprising. Which, by the way, since we're on MLS talk, did you see the new logo for Miami CF?
Yeah. Okay. So David Beckham, 10 years later, finally has a Miami team.
Yeah.
It's like a bunch of flamingos, and it's pretty cool.
Black and pink. I like it. It's a different color scheme than what we're probably used to. Yeah.
No, Beckham can do no wrong, bro.
The flamingo thing kind of is weird for me a little.
It is. Okay, so let's talk about this a little bit.
All right.
I don't know the answer to this question. When's the last time, and Matt said, hopefully they make playoffs and show people back to the glory. Agreed, Matt. I always loved DC United, especially back with Freddie Adu actually being good days.
In the glory days when there were only 10 teams in the MLS.
True. So we're talking about this Miami team. They're going straight to MLS, correct?
Yes.
That's weird, right? Because we've seen these teams like that recently have come up from USL.
Well,
and you look at
Atlanta United was also one. They didn't go.
True, and LAFC.
Yeah, and LAFC.
You're right.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So I guess what I'm looking at more now is you're talking about these teams like Cincinnati and New Bethlehem, and these teams that are getting such a big fan base that they're getting MLS looks. That it's funny to me that Beckham's just like, well, I want a team, and just boom, here's Miami. It took a long time. Don't get me wrong, but he's like, we need a soccer team in Miami, and just boom, here's your team, buddy.
Well, it's weird when you look at it. Like Miami has such a big Cuban population, and they have such a passionate soccer fan base. You would think that it'd be a perfect place for it. But yeah, meanwhile, we're going to be getting a Cincinnati club, and they essentially proved that if you can draw, you are going to get looks in MLS. I'm surprised Sacramento hasn't gotten their team yet because they've had
really.
Sacramento's been having great attendance figures.
They haven't been able to pull they've had a great attendance for soccer. Sports all around though there has been absolutely pathetic, right?
Yeah, but they have investments though, like and some good investors behind them. I think they have one of the minority owners of the 49ers behind them and some other guys too. So it's there. It's weird that for the longest time that Don Garber has always kind of said that we look at Sacramento, we're going to consider them, but they just never been able to pull the plug on it. So
Denny brings up a good point. It's all about the money.
Oh,
very good point, Denny. Anything Beckham touches turns to gold.
Mm-hmm.
That is another reason why they instantly get a team. And I'm not even kidding that it's Beckham related. Like I think David Beckham is one of the most polarizing individuals to ever be born on earth. Mm-hmm. And in that sentence, you see why he gets an MLS team.
Also think about literally the reason that LA has a second team is because of the amount of investment they have. They have Will Ferrell. They have, I think Magic Johnson is a part of an owner. I think the guy who owns Cardiff is an owner there too. So it's something. So.
All right, guys, it's that time of the day. We started this new segment. It's something that Greg's very excited about. He has until I leave the room and come back to talk about baseball. This segment is called Stickball with Greg.
Enjoy your break.
Just go.
Enjoy your break. All right, folks, it's officially after Labor Day, which means the pennant race has officially begun in baseball. Now, unfortunately, most of the divisions are kind of set up right now. The Red Sox have pulled away. The Indians have pulled away in the Central. The National League is essentially the same thing. You have Chicago. Unfortunately, there's two divisions that are kind of surprising people with the actual amount of races going on. In the National League East, you got the Phillies and the Braves, who are, I believe, 3 games separating between the two. You have, looking at the West, is a definite hodgepodge to the point now where it looks like the Dodgers might not even make the playoffs. Unfortunately, we still have, 3 weeks in the season left, so God only knows what can happen. American League, if you look at it, the divisions are essentially wrapped up right now, although a surprise contender looking forward to is the Oakland A's, who every maybe 3 or 4 years all of a sudden just kind of come out of nowhere and essentially decide to make a run. Amazingly, it just kind of happens. So now we're at the point now where the A's are not only competing for the AL West, but they're now about to surpass the New York Yankees in the wild card standings. A lot of people had some great things to say about the Yankees during the winter. Their offense looks amazing, but the rotation is still the big issue. And
that was Stickball with Greg.
Gotta love it. So let's keep talking.
How'd it go? Was it okay?
I think we're good.
I love that. That actually is my favorite thing that we do, aside from drinking beers and hanging out talking sports, is that we decided that there was a point where one day I had to get up and go to the bathroom, and Greg was like, well, I'll just talk about baseball. And I
Yeah.
was like, all right, stick ball with Greg is a thing. All right, Greg.
Stickball Greg is now
So we have about 20 minutes here left.
Mhm.
Let's get into some college football. What game? And Greg, honestly, he didn't watch all the games. He was obviously at his Indianapolis show.
Is that what we're gonna call it now? Indianapolis show.
Man, I'm so sorry. I know didn't something happen? What the?
Nothing happened in Indianapolis, although Andrew Luck is definitely back in the fold, so that's nice. As you're just
Well, I mean,
yeah. No, college football it was great.
Hey, hold on, actually, I think she's in here. Kaylee, stop texting me. You see, I'm doing I'm sorry. I can't. Just type what you want to say in the comments. I love you.
Hi, Kaylee.
I love the chef. All right, so what game out of college football surprised you the most this weekend? I know your answer.
Ooh, do you?
I should.
Well, there's a couple games.
The one.
The one?
The one.
Okay, FSU and Virginia Tech definitely surprised me.
It was.
Dude, all the hype that FSU was looking at when they basically...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, all the hype that FSU got...
What was the head coach?
Willie Taggart.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Mhm.
Oh, excuse me, everybody.
Yeah.
Jordan, it's not that I'm yelling at her. It's that Jordan, I'm following my dreams here. And I'm supposed to look at my phone.
Yeah. You just have too much to do, man.
No. Okay. Well, shut up, Jordan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so FSU, Willie Taggart, love him.
Yeah.
They got beat.
They got crushed. That offense just looks... They played Virginia Tech. That
I
offense...
don't think they got crushed.
Their offense looked pathetic.
It did, but I don't think they got crushed.
Dude, trying to watch that game and watch their offense just do anything was pathetic.
Wasn't it less than a touchdown?
It was pathetic.
But wasn't it not even a touchdown?
That was just because Virginia Tech decided to be nice at the end of the game.
Okay, so they didn't get crushed.
It was, dude, just watching them was like one of the most vanilla and painful things I've
Dude,
ever seen.
yeah, but define crushed.
Literally to the point where you could watch them make a play and just try to move the ball, and it was awful. Just
Okay.
awful. Their offensive line's terrible. DeAndre Francois should actually be a good quarterback this year, and he's just being wasted completely.
Just define crushed.
Define crush? When you watch a team play and they can barely move the ball.
Okay. What if they would have won?
If they would have won,
What if they would have won?
They would have been lucky.
Would they have been crushed?
No.
So a crush has to be a defeat.
Bang. Fair enough. Okay. All right.
The
Now,
game that I was talking about,
what's that?
Penn State, Appalachian State. If you did not watch this game, I'm not even kidding. This might have been game of the year if Appalachian won it. So upset they didn't win it. Not that I'm like, oh, screw you, Penn, but like, no, screw you, Penn State.
Yeah.
It comes down to the fact that Penn State won in overtime, 45-38 against Appalachian State. Now, don't get me wrong. They're a good team. Appalachian State is solid.
Oh, no, they're a consistent program. They know what they're doing.
But
so.
if you're going to have a game at the beginning of the year, you either got to face a ranked team or take an easy out. You know what I mean? They're like Alabama at least knows that they're going to beat Louisville. They play Louisville. Lamar Jackson's not there. Everyone saw the hype
Right.
of Louisville when it comes down to the fact
it's
they
a name.
crush them.
It's a name team.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
either play a team or don't. Play somebody poopy. Why are you playing Appalachian State in your first game and coming down to the wire with them? That looks so bad.
You're asking for disaster. And
You're
asking for it. Yeah.
They're a good team.
It
It's
was-
very frustrating. Like, it's annoying to think that I have the thought we're going to crush them because they're not ranked. I'd rather them play a ranked team and lose than have this. Like, I get it. This looks better than losing to a ranked team. But at the same time, that scoreline going to overtime against Michigan, who was 14, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
I was looking at this. I think their head coach is like flown under the radar for like all those big jobs. Their head coach has been there for 6 years. I believe he's 30 or even like 37, 15. That's a coach who knows what he's doing, man.
Yeah, no, facts.
Yeah, so like, why test fate on this? Like, you're essentially kind of screwing yourself.
Because they still think they have Saquon Barkley.
Which they do not.
Other notable scorelines: Michigan State only beat Utah, unranked Utah, 38-31. Utah got crushed.
on a final drive too.
No, they got crushed. Oklahoma beat FAU in a game that we honestly thought was going to be close,
I thought it
63-14.
I thought it was gonna be competitive.
Yep.
But damn,
And
Kyler
Kyler, oh my lord, that man proved us wrong.
Mhm.
Notre Dame beat Michigan in a game that was pretty good, 24-17. I was actually pretty happy with that game.
Yeah, Michigan is now like on just like crying like crazy because their season's now essentially ruined.
In my second favorite game, Maryland beat Texas 34-29. The reason it is I always love when unranked teams beat them. PSU will look worse Saturday night around midnight.
You're damn right.
H2P, baby. H2P.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite game, though, honestly, aside from Penn State almost losing, LSU Miami. The reason it was my favorite game?
Why?
Everyone knows from last year, Miami had one of the most impressive, I think, front sevens on defense that we can remember. They had a decent offense, but they had a great defense.
They did.
That took them to, I think the highest they got was top 4.
Yeah, they were number 2 at one point, actually.
Okay, they're number 2 at one
And then
point,
Pitt
actually.
beat them.
And then Pitt beat them.
Mm-hmm.
H2P. So what it came down to is that LSU beat Miami 33-17. Hail Pitt, thank you, Kevin. There was an LSU player that decided to say, you know what? We got the turnover towel. He took a towel, wrapped it around his neck, tied it, and walked around like he had the turnover chain for Miami on. Now, if you don't remember last year, Miami has a chain, a gold giant chain that is the U logo. And every time you got a turnover, you got to put it on and dance around, and it was arguably the coolest thing in college football. The turnover towel is pretty cool, man.
I didn't think
It's pretty
LSU.
funny.
I didn't think LSU had this much creativity in them. To be honest, I didn't.
All right, so let's get into. We got about 50 minutes. Let's spend about 10 minutes here talking about tonight's game. We're not going to get too much into the weekend. We'll talk a little about Steelers Browns after this one, but tonight's game, Greg. Out of the Eagles, Falcons, football is back. What are you expecting to see tonight?
I'm expecting to see a lot of high scoring because I remember the last game that they played was the NFC divisional round last year, where it was just ugly. It's like I think it ended up being 12-10 or something like that. Which honestly, if you look at it, the Falcons should have won that game. They had four chances, I believe, within the 5 yards into the end zone, and they tried going to Julio twice.
Ryan both touches. I remember the Miami beat down H2P.
So, no, I'm expecting Atlanta to come out, guns a-blazing, seeking revenge. I love Atlanta this year, man. I predicted them that they were going to win the South this year.
Which, that division, there's many times that I'll argue what the division was.
Mm-hmm.
They had 3 teams go to the playoffs last year.
They did.
That was, realistically, that's super impressive.
Right. No, it's,
you know what I mean?
It's a tough division. It's a very, very
except
tough
for that
division.
4th team.
Let's not talk about they might be the worst team in football this year.
You think?
Yes.
What do they even have?
Well, you don't have Jameis for 3 games. Ronald Jones didn't impress anyone. Mike Evans is.
They do start on Mike Evans. All right, so get off that. Let's keep going.
Okay, so
hello, Mother Votash.
Honestly, Janet. So honestly, when I'm looking at this,
not on a first name basis with Janet.
Yes, I am. Janet loves me. So when I'm looking at this, I'm honestly, after last year when we saw a Super Bowl winner go down their first game of the year, all bets are off now. Just all bets are completely off right now. So
what? Okay, here's what I will say. So obviously the Pats losing last year, no one really saw that coming. The Kareem Hunt explosion, I will say flat out, I am a Kareem Hunt truther, and I would not have bet any money on that happening.
Not even after his first carry, too.
No, and the first carry was a fumble, and I remember because I was like, well, there goes my whole I'm going to help. Honestly, Mrs. Votash, his face has been blocked by the mic for a long time, and it's really frustrating.
Why?
Except he's like, he won't see what I look like, and it's okay. It's just weird.
He wants to see the ugly mug. Come on.
Well, then go sit over there and take the mic then, What it comes down to for me, though, is that I was a Hunt truther, and I was like, well, there goes my fantasy relevance. And he came out and he pummeled it. And I will take a little bit into the essence that, I don't think that no, Mom, I'm not going to push Greg down onto the ground.
No.
Push his mic down. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. I think that the Chiefs were that good last year that they did that, as opposed to the champion losing. But at the same time, this Falcons team, arguably on paper, is just as good as the Super Bowl winners.
This is no slouch of the Falcons team, man. This really isn't. I remember watching the Redskins and Giants play each other that one year. The Redskins were booty. Let's just leave it at that. That entire year. But this is not going to be a walk in the park for them.
Yeah,
absolutely
not. So let's flip this paper over because I got things to do. Obviously, we got, anybody that doesn't know, Alshon Jeffrey is out. In Matt Collins, one of my favorite deep sleepers.
18th round guy.
On IR. Yeah, he's not a guy you're going to draft in any redraft. Or almost a keeper. Dynasty, take Matt Collins. Any other league, don't worry about Matt Collins. I just like him. He's a big size guy. When it comes down to it, though, they really only have outside of Nelson Aguilar, Mike Wallace and Marcus Wheaton as receivers. Now, they do have Zach Ertz, one of the best tight ends in football. They have Dallas Goedert as well, one of our best projected tight ends. Dallas Goedert is supposed to be the next Gronk. I don't hate the idea that the Eagles can win tonight because that defense is amazing, but offensively, you look at their running backs too. Darren Sproles is back. Great. Jay Ajayi's there. Great. Corey Clement is there. Great. Wendell Smallwood is there. Why? Hello, Kaylee. You got me yelled at, Kaylee, if you want to scroll up in the comments. Jordan said I yelled at you, and I got to go. Love you. What it comes down to, though, is that the Falcons side of the ball, they have a very young, quick defense. They have one of the best physically gifted wide receivers we've seen of all time in Julio Jones. Mohamed Sanu is a great number 2. Calvin Ridley was a first-round wide receiver. Devontae Freeman and David Coleman are great running back duos. And Austin Hooper is a star tight end in the making. Quarterback, straight up. Nick Foles, Matt Ryan. You got to go Ryan. He was an MVP. Mm-hmm. I like Foles, and Foles holds an NFL record, if you didn't know, 7 touchdowns in one game. Almost gave up football about a year ago. What it comes down to, though, is there's going to be a spot for Foles on the bench starting week 2 if Wentz is back.
You're saying week 2?
Wentz is supposed to be back.
I'd say week 4. I'm being honest, man. Give him a little bit of time to get in game preparation. Just saying.
Game preparation?
Yes.
What do you mean? What kind of game preparation do you need besides just playing?
Well, it's literally the fact that you just came back from reconstructive knee surgery.
Technically, he could play now, but they're benching him for week 1.
Just week 1, or is it?
It's a week by week thing. Actually, it's a week by. But he could play right now, and they are benching him.
I think they're just waiting for the moment for Foles to screw up somehow, which is sad because this is a Super Bowl MVP.
Shout out to David Seckley. Hooper is no Hodges. I don't know. So who do you say tonight, Craig?
Last year I got burned because I picked the Patriots, especially in my the Survivor pool. So I'm kind of bummed about that. But honestly, I can't pick against a defending Super Bowl champion on a night they're raising the banner, especially the Eagles first. I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. I'm going to say 34-31 Eagles.
I mean, that's not bad. I'm going to go 24-21 Eagles. I think that both teams are going to be a little bit conservative in how they run things just because it is the first game. I'm just excited football's back, man. You know what it comes down to. I'm just happy. Let's talk a little bit about what happens, and this is for everybody out there, when you draft Le'Veon Bell.
Oh, man. How many people have reached out to you already about that?
A lot, actually.
I was going to
Ever
ask.
since I put on my story yesterday, and if anyone doesn't know, I do give fantasy football advice. It is completely free at the moment. Like, it's not like, oh, buy my draft packet. No, I think that's terrible.
Of course. Hey, Andres.
Andres, what a man. Kaylee says that's what I did. Thanks, Derek. I love you. I don't know if she's saying thanks, like, as the essence of I told her to draft him. Guys, here's what I say. Okay, let's go into a little bit. Le'Veon Bell, in my mind, if he shows up for every game this year, is by far the best player in fantasy.
Behind that O-line, absolutely.
He was supposed to show up Monday, supposed to show up Wednesday. Didn't. All right, guess what? Deal with it. Life sucks. Let's move on. Guys you can target on the waiver wire. There, honestly, a guy this week that I like as a flyer. This is a flyer. There's 2 guys. You're going to hate them both. Jeremy Hill with the Patriots, Mike Gillislee with the Saints.
Wow.
Yes.
Interesting.
Terrible, terrible guys, right?
Yeah.
Rex Burkhead and Sony Michel have both knee injuries. They had to get their knees, basically, the fluid out of them.
They got them scoped or drained or
Drained, yes.
Drained, yeah.
So what you're looking up, and Andres, that's a good point, which I'm going to bring up at the end of this rant. What you're looking at are guys that, okay, so Mark Ingram's out for the Saints. He's suspended. The only running back they have is Kamara. So you're looking for Gillislee to vulture. What now you're looking for are vultures. If you really are this struggling that you don't have a second running back, and I'm talking about guys that are off the beaten path. Right? These are guys that were not drafted for XYZ reason. Mm-hmm. Trust me. If you came into this season with only 2 running backs, and Bell was one of them, there is a much larger problem. Kaylee, yes. Okay, here's another thing. So if you are taken in the top 5 draft picks, you are an undraftable, or undroppable, in ESPN. You can beg your commissioner to drop them, and they might. Hold on to Le'Veon Bell.
Absolutely.
There is not a single player that will be on the edge of your bench named Kerryon Johnson, who I actually love. Shout out to Andrew Berriman from work. He was mad at me. I took him. What I'm saying, though, is Bell's potential is so great that he can replace anyone on your bench in an instant, and you should not feel bad about it. Andres brings up a good point. Now is the time to target Bell if you have a deep bench. For example, I took Jerick McKinnon in the draft. Obviously, didn't work out. I also have Melvin Gordon, Lamar Miller, Derrick Henry, and Kerryon Johnson as well. I'm looking at three running backs that are RB1s on their team easily. Kerryon could take the job.
You're essentially going to be playing matchups now, essentially.
What I'm doing is I'm still targeting Bell because that guy needs someone. David Seckley brings up the name Jordan Wilkins. Jordan Wilkins is a rookie running back of the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have 3 running backs. They lost Frank Gore, Marlon Mack, Nyheim Hines, Jordan Wilkins. Wilkins will take the workload in week 1 if Marlon Mack cannot go, which it looks like he can't go.
I'm still surprised that he's getting the workload over Hines. I didn't think going into preseason he was going to.
That was a lot of people thought Hines was the bigger guy. Yeah. What it came down to is Wilkins has a larger body mass size and is quicker. And that's pretty much everything about. I mean, Wilkins is a great flyer, a great pickup. I totally agree with you. Another name, if he's not picked up in your leagues, ladies and gentlemen, Alfred Morris must be picked up.
He's the
I get it. You're like, oh, he hasn't been good since RG3 was at the Redskins and this and that. At the Redskins, though, Shanahan was there. Trust me, Alfred Morris will be the workload back for a Jimmy Garoppolo-led 49ers team on the rise. Yes, they have Matt Breida. Yes, they have Joe Williams. And I love Joe Williams in Dynasty. Matt Breida cannot handle a 3-down back load. Matt Breida is a good PPR back. Alfred Morris is going to handle goal line carries, is going to handle first and second down carries. Alfred Morris finally is relevant again, and I love him.
I would not be shocked if Joe Williams also gets some looks in the
He's out this week, but season-wise, Joe Williams will get his chance. It's just, guys, there are people on the waiver wire that you need to pay attention to. Mm-hmm. I mean, another name that I really like, honestly, that might not be drafted in your league, is Jonathan Stewart. Jonathan Stewart is the backup running back at the New York Giants. He was with the Panthers last year. He stole touchdowns from Christian McCaffrey, who's one of my favorite running backs in the league, which are EJ, I still have your question. I will still get to it. Jonathan Stewart has the potential against this Jacksonville defense to fall into the end zone. That's what you're looking for. Fall into – give me 6 points instant.
1 yard. That's all you need.
No. 1 yard, 6 points is still 6 points, and it's better than half the players other people play. So EJ's question was, and I'm going to bring it up to you, Greg, and then I'll touch upon it because we only have about 3 minutes left.
Go ahead.
Would you rather have Ezekiel Elliott and Melvin Gordon, or Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara in a 1-point PPR league?
1-point PPR? Oh, Christian McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara.
I think you were terribly wrong.
Why is that?
I think we're very, very wrapped up in the fact that obviously both those guys, don't get me wrong, had over 100 receptions last year.
Right.
But Zeke and Gordon are in very unique positions where they are the only running back on their team and will get every first, second, third, goal line, every single opportunity to score a touchdown, both of them.
Right.
And they're both in, well, Melvin is in a very good offense. Zeke is the only thing in his offense. When you look at McCaffrey, they want to give him 25 to 27 touches a game. Mm-hmm. McCaffrey is an elite player. Don't get me wrong, I love Christian McCaffrey.
I do too.
But they have C.J. Anderson still. If C.J. Anderson doesn't worry me as a McCaffrey owner, but I know that C.J. Anderson is going to get the goal line touches. When you look at with Kamara, though, they still have Mark Ingram there. Why would you add Gillislee and Shane Vereen in the offseason if you don't think Kamara is going to be the guy? Now, trust me, I took Kamara in drafts. Don't get me wrong. But when you're looking at Zeke and Gordon, 2 every down backs that can catch, versus McCaffrey and Kamara, 2. Are they every down backs? We don't actually know yet. I'm not being a jack.
They are first 2 down backs. That's definitely accurate.
But when you look at it, is you're looking at every down versus possibly first 2, possibly. You know what I mean? Like, I just see C.J. Anderson and I see Gillislee vulturing touchdowns where Zeke and Gordon have 0 of those issues. EJ, I get that the appeal of Kamara and McCaffrey's ability to catch the ball is something we all love.
I know, because I feel like PPR is just so inflated that we immediately kind of just look at the guys that we know are going to get it right.
And I trust me, I've never played in a non-PPR league. I love PPR. Mm-hmm. I love Jarvis Landry Gold Tape.
Oh, God, Jarvis Landry. That does work.
But what I'm saying is, though, don't let it defer you from the fact that Zeke is arguably the best running back in the league. Fair. And Melvin Gordon is one of the best point-scoring running backs. I love McCaffrey, and I love Kamara. But sophomore slump is a real thing.
That's fair.
It is.
That's fair.
It is. So
It is.
that's my logic behind it. And if you take McCaffrey and Kamara over those two, I'm not gonna damn you. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna say, oh, you suck. Blah, blah, blah. No, like, it's a good pick. It's just not what I would have done.
Depends on what pick you had too. I'd say it
very
does.
true.
It does.
All right, guys. Well, it's been an hour. Greg, did we miss anything?
Probably did, but we're just getting back in the groove.
Wait, the draft. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that's true. Let's do it.
Greg has a draft. Let's finish it off with this. Go ahead, Greg.
All right, we are going to be picking a top 5. I'd say top 5. Let's pick a roster of 5 of the worst uniforms in sports history.
Worst jerseys of all time.
Worst jerseys of all time.
Do you want first or next two?
Oh, I want first. Right.
Okay.
Right at the get-go.
Good.
The Nike Color Rush Jacksonville Jaguars.
All right.
They look like baby poop.
All right. EJ said, just got back from a run and 2 beers deep, still going. EJ, I just answered your question, by the way. I'm not going to get too much into it. You can watch the video later. I took Zeke and Gordon over Kamara and McCaffrey because people are obsessed with the computer. So the next two, I'm taking next 2 jerseys. You know what? Let's start off with something that happened this year. All right. Notre Dame's baseball jerseys, terrible.
Oh, God.
They're despicably disgusting. They're absolutely terrible. And I'm just going to go with every single Cleveland Browns jersey. Every single Cleveland Browns jersey.
Oh,
EJ,
man.
then I picked you over Brett because EJ, here's what I'll say real quick. I like the fact that they are both PPR guys, but he's too obsessed with catches. That's it. All right, Greg, what's your next pick?
Not the ones right now, but the previous Seattle Seahawks jerseys.
Okay.
Yeah, like the all blue.
Yeah.
They didn't really have like any cool designs with it. Those were ugly.
I'm not mad at it. All right, I'm gonna go. We are doing, if anyone doesn't know, the worst jersey of all time draft. So far, Greg has the Jags color rush from last year in the last Seahawks jersey. I have Notre Dame's baseball jersey this year in every single Cleveland Browns jersey. I'm trying to think of a really bad one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. Yeah, that's really tough.
Yeah,
Like it's not terrible.
It is. You just have you gotta think a little. I mean, it's not that worst thing.
No, and I don't. I'm trying to think of baseball because I feel like there's been some bad baseball ones that I don't.
I feel like there have been worse like NBA and NHL ones though.
True.
Yeah.
True. All right, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with the Phoenix Suns. Like they had that gradient one this year. I hated that.
Okay.
I really hated that.
Okay.
I just did. They had it was like white to orange to yellow to orange like the sun. I hated it.
Yeah, I think that was weird though. I mean, like when you saw it on the court and stuff, I mean, it made sense, but
It did, but as a standing jersey, it was gross.
Okay.
Oh, hi Brian. Thanks for being here. Yay. My cousin sucks.
Mine is the Buffalo Sabres Buff Slug jerseys.
What?
The Buff Slug. Okay, when you look this up, so the Sabres used to have red and black jerseys.
Okay.
They then
Oh
switched,
yeah, I remember
they
that.
switched back to their original colors, which were blue and gold. But
Okay.
then they had some weird updated Buffalo logo that looked like a combination of a buffalo head and a slug body.
Huh.
It was one of the weirdest things I've ever seen, and it was awful.
Huh.
Straight awful.
That's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go. I didn't like them. I'm gonna go with Denver Broncos bright orange color rush.
What? You didn't like that?
Didn't like them. Too much for me. Too much for me.
All right.
I don't mind. They had a secondary jersey that was orange. Like not obviously they have orange, but just the all orange looked like butt. I don't know.
All right. I'm gonna get some heat for this one, but I'm gonna say it anyway.
Steelers Bumblebee. Did I call it?
No.
Ah!
You were close.
Oh, okay.
You were close. The Tampa Bay Buccaneer creamskulls.
Oh yeah, no. Those are terrible.
Those
are actually disgusting.
I like the logo of like the old school logo with like the Buccaneer kind of like classic looking.
I love that. That was
But-
a scary Cavaliers logo.
But the creamsicle stuff. Oh, just no.
Fair.
Just no.
Fair.
Yeah.
Last pick. I'm gonna go. Yep. Every single Flyers jersey.
Way to end on a high note, man.
Suck it. What's your last pick, Greg?
Now this one, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm gonna get heat for it. I don't
Danielle,
care.
answer that in a question, buddy.
I don't care. Give me the Bumblebees.
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 All right. Denny said, what about Maryland football last year?
Maryland football the last, 10 years. Oh,
Denny says, unrelated, but Steelers defense or Patriots defense, week 1. Steelers play the Browns.
Yes.
Patriots, do you know who that was?
Houston.
Okay.
I'd lean
So
more
here's-
towards Patriot. I mean, no, not Patriots. I lean more.
Here's what I'll
towards-
say. Here's my breakdown of it all. Steelers defense has gotten better. They have gotten better.
Right.
What it comes down to, though, is I think that the Browns offense is something to fear this year. Tyrod Taylor, who doesn't give the ball up too much, with actual weapons for the first time in the Browns' career, and a possibly decent run game. Because Carlos Hyde, maybe hurt a lot, but is good. The Patriots defense against the Texans, you're looking at a quarterback that can do damage on anybody. You're looking at, Patriots are going to be projected higher. I'm going Steelers. I just think that Deshaun Watson is a better player than Tyrod Taylor. I think Hopkins is a better player than Jarvis Landry, and I think Lamar Miller is better than that backfield. That's my thought.
So no, that's what I was gonna say. I would go for
Says
Steelers defense.
anything Penn State. Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, guys. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This has been an hour-long video. Check it out. They're uploaded to YouTube as of tomorrow, so don't look right now because I was supposed to do them last night.
Also plug all your stuff, by the way, man. What's stuff? Everything.
All right, guys.
Everything. You got video game stuff. You got t-shirts.
So we do have a new podcast coming out with my brother. I will release it right now. Me and Nico are starting a nerd geek video game everything culture podcast starting next month once he gets his full-time job at Fig and Ash. New blog post up on www.thoughtsonthebench.com. I do want to thank you for saying that, guys. All of our apparel, flags, shirts, everything comes from ourpointapparel.com. Please, the shirts are literally $9 for a regular shirt. This shirt cost me $12, and this is our basketball logo.
High quality.
If you want to, no, I literally asked Seckley. I don't wear anything but Thoughts on the Bench and 2 Beers Deep shirts around 6 men anymore because they're just the comfiest shirts I own. I'm not even kidding. They get shipped directly to you. We keep them at $9 because they are the cheapest they can be.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I wear the 2 Beers Deep shirt all the time because it is relevant all the time. Thoughts on the Bench. Yeah, that's the blog portion. That's our website. The 2 Beers Deep shirt, I'm not even kidding. I wear them on St. Patrick's Day. I wear it the night before Thanksgiving. I wear it to Steelers games. I wear it everywhere.
The green one was a nice touch, actually.
The green one was a great touch.
Great
Guys,
touch.
any single form of apparel. Look, we do tank tops, sweatshirts, hoodies. We do coffee cups. I'm telling you right now, this does not go to my pocket or anything stupid like that. No, literally none of it goes to us. It is literally just to get our name out there and everything like that. Hit me up if you need anything. The link is on the website, obviously, at www.thoughtsonthebench.com. My freaking mom bought stuff. UMass Lowell, Kevin. Basically, it's the same exact thing as UMass Lowell, but better.
Sure.
My mom loves her tank top, and Seckley, you still need to buy something, Seckley. But guys, no, our point apparel. We are trying to keep this relationship with them alive. It has come down to the point of we've done enough right now, and they're obviously very good friends of ours. Botash is a very smart individual when it comes to all this. Barely. But guys, anything you need, if you want colors, if you want logo, if you want that change to pink, let me know. We can figure it out for you. Obviously, we have the Thoughts on the Bench, Anthony's Locker FIFA tournament this weekend. We need people to sign up before Friday at 9. Guys, these video game tournaments aren't going to last very long in the sense that we need people to do, what it comes down to is we need people to show up. Last FIFA tournament, we had about 8 guys. If you think you are good at FIFA, which you are probably not because I'm going to beat you, please come prove me wrong.
You just laid on the gauntlet right there.
I'm not even kidding. I have not found the competition except for Andres who won the whole thing. So if you think you're good, please show up. We'll be doing a live 2 Beers Deep podcast there. We'll have Red Zone there. We'll have the Steelers game. We'll have everything you need. Free beer, free pizza. It's amazing, actually. I don't know why Wade, the owner of his locker, lets me do this there because he is the coolest guy of all time. Matt, you can't beat me your butt. What it comes down to, though, is, guys, we have all these things going on. If you like it, please let us know. If you don't, let Greg know because Greg doesn't have a Facebook. So DM Greg on Facebook.
And I
Thoughts on the
care
Bench.
less.
Thoughts on the Bench on Twitter, or Thoughts TFB on Twitter. Thoughts on the Bench on Instagram. Thoughts on this Facebook page is obviously my own, so that people like my cousin Brian can see it because Brian would never like something that I do. He just makes fun of it. All right, guys, that was 2 Beers Deep. Why don't you watch Greg while I shut off the video?
H2P, everyone. H2P.